Holy cow, you have written a draft. You've spent some time cleaning it up, you've had some beta readers look at it, and now you're ready for an editor. As a writer who works with a lot of other writers, I see a lot of questions about editing and finding editors. And sometimes all these questions can stop you from moving on to the next step in your publishing journey. So today we're going to answer some questions about editors based on my own experiences and the information in Chandler Bolt's book, Published: The Proven Path from Blank Page to 10,000 Copies Sold. And hang around till the end, because before we're done, I'm going to tell you my absolute favorite way to find an editor that's right for you. Let's just get a few questions out of the way really quickly. Do I need an editor? Yes. Can my friends be my editor? No, unless your friend is an actual editor. Whew, now that that's out of the way, but seriously, you might be tempted to skip this part, especially if you're a self-published author, but don't. So up next, what are the different types of editors? Because yes, there are more than one. There's even more than a few. We're going to quickly cover the ones that you might need if you are self-publishing a fiction book. Developmental editors. These types of editors look at the story as a whole and look for things like plot holes and inconsistent information throughout the book. They look at character arcs, pace, point of view, tone of voice, etc. They'll tell you if your story is working overall and hopefully offer some tips to fix it if it's not. If you've had enough beta readers look at your story and they haven't pointed out any major plot holes, you might be able to skip this editor. Might. A line editor. A line editor is going to get more specific. They're going to go line by line and make sure your sentences flow and make sense. They will help you polish your language and prose. A copy editor. Typos, grammar, and punctuation. This is the editor that's going to look for those. This is who is going to help you clean up your manuscript and make sure your readers aren't distracted by typos. If you only get one type of editor, get this one. Some editors might do line and copy editing together, but you do not want to publish your manuscript with a bunch of typos and mistakes. In previous videos, I talk about the importance of editors, but I will continue to stress that yes, even if, and maybe even especially if you are self-publishing, you need an editor. Can't afford one? Figure it out. Sorry if that sounds harsh, but it's true. Maybe you can trade services with someone. Maybe you can find someone that is willing to work on a payment plan. Maybe even find someone early in their career who's offering their services at a discount or a lower fee. You shouldn't skimp here if you can help it, but you definitely shouldn't skip. What should I do before hiring an editor? I talk a little bit about this in my mistakes that writers make after they finish their draft video. Before you hire an editor, you should do as much of the editing as you can yourself, especially if you're trying to save money. Run a spell check, utilize beta readers, etc. The more time you spend proofreading, the less time an editor will need to. Hire before you're ready. A lot of the best editors are really busy, so start looking for an editor 2 to 8 weeks before you're actually ready for one. Have a deadline in mind. You'll want to be able to provide a clear timeline for your editor, so make sure you have an idea of when you'd like to publish your work so you can work back from there. Have a style guide. We'll talk about this in another video, but it's a good idea to have a style guide of common names and stylistic choices you make in the story so the editor doesn't try to change them, especially if you're writing fantasy with lots of crazy spellings and names. Prepare a brief. Chandler has an example of a brief template in his book, and the brief helps you set expectations for yourself and your editor and helps you narrow in on editors that will work best for you. Now, probably your most pressing question, where do I find an editor? There are a lot of different online marketplaces where you can find great editors. Upwork is one, and also Reedsy is a great example. But be careful on sites like Upwork, as I've seen authors in some Facebook groups post conversations with editors from Upwork that are sketchy. This is probably more likely on sites like Upwork than it is on Reedsy, so just make sure to follow the rules and guidelines put in place by the marketplace, which usually includes communicating only through the app or site and only sending money through their payment app. And my absolute favorite way to find editors or find any other service really that you need for your book: referrals from other authors. This is the #1 way I would recommend for you to find an editor or any other service. With referrals, you at least trust the person you're getting the referral from, so you know that you can probably trust the referral. This is why it's important to have a great tribe or community around you, a community that you can trust. It's actually how I found the editor for my book, The Lost Girl, A Neverland Story, coming in October. And the experience was amazing. I got the name of the editor from a writer friend of mine, and because we had that mutual contact, she was willing to work with me on a lot of things that maybe an editor hired from another professional service wouldn't be. If you don't have a community IRL, in real life, that's what the kids say, right? You can always turn to Facebook groups or online communities to get referrals. But be careful. As soon as you post a request in a group looking for a service, you will be bombarded with messages, both real and fake. Make sure to do your due diligence and never, ever pay the whole amount for the service up front without receiving the goods. Some editors may ask for half or a portion of the payment up front, but most will ask for payment upon completion. I hope that clears up some of the questions you might have on looking for and hiring an editor. And now make sure to dedicate some time to your writing by grabbing a writing sprint from the end of this video and fighting for your creativity.